You can do it too. Easy as 1, 2, 3. You can do it too. Come along and draw with me. Pads and pencils, a very good start. So when you draw with your heart. You draw with your heart, 'cause you can do it too. You can do it too. You can do it too.
And now I'm going to reinstate what we did. So the first time I did the painting, it was pretty light and it was just doing the preliminary sketch, which we did. And we looked at our painting. It's painting a seascape, and we just lay down the foundation. Now what we're going to do is we're going to refine the work. And what we're going to do is we're going to darken these rocks right in here. We're going to darken this here. So now you see now that I have the overall framework of this painting. Now I'm coming a little bit stronger. Why stronger? Because now I'm sure. I'm sure where my rocks are going to go. I have it all down pat. I know that they're going to fall about there. And I know that as the top, it's lit up, but I also know that down here is going to be dark. So we're going to kind of darken this. We're going to darken this and texture them a little bit, because you see how rocks are kind of jaggedy and they're just up and down, and so we're going to do that. The part of the rocks are lit up in the top, but down here, and then it kind of just goes down like that. This part is light. And we could look at it, we study it. And one thing you have to do with painting is you have to back up. Every now and then you back up. You observe your painting, you look at it, you see how you're going to change things. You just don't keep at it, because sometimes you could lose the way. So this way you back up and you look at it, and this is how you'll refine it. And then right here could be just a little bit dark, because this is throwing shadow here in this water here. So we're going to, and another thing too, right by the waves over here. Now you want this to come out. So underneath here, we're going to darken. Watch what happens as I do this. See how by doing, and you change brushes. I have a thicker brush, a little brush. I have a tiny little pointy brush. This little pointy brush is when I do those seagulls that you see flying. We'll save that for later. But now, right in here, you darken them in here, because underneath these waves, there's always dark. There's always darkness, because the water is underneath them. So this is how you could see. Right here, we could throw in some darkness too, because it's coming from the rocks. So you could see that. So just kind of darken that up a little bit and bring it down like this, Because we look at it. You say you observe it, you look at it, you look at your painting, you look at what you're painting, you go back and forth, and it's like time consuming, but it's fun. You can take a bigger brush like this to spread the paint like this. So you have to be changing brushes. You can't use the same brush. This over here, right in here, you can kind of, now watch, you see how I change the stroke here? This, I'm going to do this a little bit like that, there. And I'm going to bring it down, and I'm going to look over there, and I'm just going to, there. Now as we look at this, and here, there's underneath the waves, this is how you make these waves come out. Otherwise you really cannot see them, so we kind of want them to come out. So let's do some underneath shadowing there. There. Now you see what's happening now? And from the rocks, there's a little sand and there. So you could see that goes in the water too. And you could kind of mix it in together because you definitely could see that. And there's movement. See, now it's kind of building up. And there's movement here from the water here. So this is not still. This has to move. So we'll just take a little bit of ultramarine blue with a little bit of white and a little bit of black there. We want it kind of like grayish. And we have to move this. We have to move this a little bit. Yeah. And then you have a kind of a nice blue sky, so you also have the reflection of it too. This comes in. Yeah. There, like, you just kind of like reflect and bring that around. And mix your paint on your palette. You know, and then here is stroke. Remember what I said about the stroke? Change your stroke. Change the stroke. Don't leave the stroke the same. You have to change the stroke. Just like that. Make this water move. I could even make it move more than it's over there. Let's make it a little bit of turbulence going on over here. I don't make it too still. There. Oh, back here, as it fades out, it gets a little bit. This is from this gushing of the rocks. Yeah, that looks a little better. Now, there's a little bit of blue that I'm going to put on these little mountains because the mountains have a reflection of that. So let's just kind of, we'll mix it with a little bit of white too. Don't make them too. Just, we want to see them. We want to just see. There's mountains back there, so you want to see. There's something back there. They're pretty distant, but they're there. And you can see them because they're way back there somewhere. So you could kind of see that like that. Now what we do is we take our secondary brush. See, like I'm changing brushes, and I just go to just the white here. And then I just kind of start going like this to. And remember the rolling of the brush, you know. And also something about the clouds, they're always moving. So let's kind of make them move. And here's some, yeah, like that. Yeah, this, oh, like this. Yeah, like, there you go. See, it's like a painting. You follow a principle. You know, it's like tone the canvas, sketch out your preliminary drawing, get the feel of the work, reinstate. First, draw it out, then reinstate it. Then we could. Now you come back here. See now what I'm doing again, like I said before, and this is so important that I come back and I reinstate. So everything it's not happening all at once. You don't just immediately, like I didn't paint Charlie and Reese and Pride and Spooky just like that. It took a little time to get them and to get the dog and shoot pictures of the dog and little Spooky and Pride, and little by little get them in, and then I painted and paint. And the same thing with this. Now what I'm doing is I'm taking this little blue, this is not ultramarine blue, this is a lighter blue, and I'm just gonna, now watch what happens here. Now look at how pretty this is. This is really fun. I mean, once you do this, you get hooked. It's really nice to do this. Now look what's happening to my painting. Just look at it. Look what's happening to the clouds. Now they weren't popping out before. You didn't see anything. You didn't see them. Now all of a sudden they're coming to life. You could see them. Watch. See now. See, look how they're coming to life. Watch this. Watch what I'm doing. Now, as we look up at the sky, you will notice if you're observing of the sky and the clouds, and we all are at times. We look. It's the bluest when you look up, and then as you come down and down and down to the horizon, it gets lighter and lighter and lighter. So it like fades. It doesn't stay as bright as it is up there. So this is what's going to happen here. It's going to get like this, and then I'm going to fade out. I'm going to fade out here. I come down here and I fade out. And this is what happens. And if you observe it and you look up, if you're a camera, you like photography and you go take pictures, you'll see it's always the lightest. And then you come down and at the horizon it gets lighter and lighter, and all the way down here kind of, it's still, but it's faded. It's not intense. Now I'm just giving a long stroke here to fill up my canvas. And now you could see it's distant. And you want to create some distance here too. So now I take my little bit, these little brushes here, and I take my white, which is plain white, because I just want, now this little brush is very pointy, as you could see, but I want to do some little seagulls here. So I'm going to need my maul stick. This little ball here is just so when I put it down, it won't slide on me. And then this is what I do. Now this is, I just take my little pointy, you have to get a pointy brush, otherwise you can't do this. It comes out too thick. And you don't want thick, you want thin. So you sturdy your maul stick, which is this. You have your gloves because you don't want to contaminate your skin. You lean on this and you start making the birds. Over here I'm going to put, now that I see something, I just spotted something. I want these birds to pop out. So I'm just going to put a little blue there. Just so you could kind of see them. Right there, I want to make it a little bit. Otherwise they fade with the white. So like I want to do that. Yeah. So now I take my little pointy brush and I go like, there's one, and there's another one. They usually fly in like a little flock. There's another one here. And there's another seagull over here. A seagull here. Now you know the seagulls, the wings of the seagull, they're black. So now, like the tip, so now I just dipped it a little bit, a little pointy, a little black, not much, you see this? And then I'm just gonna just tap in there you go. There you go. And the beak. So you can see there's something there. So I take the little thing, and this maul stick is just for steadiness. So I just just lay it down you just lay it down like this. Make them look like they're charging to the rocks or something. There you go. You want to make them move. Everything you do, you want to put your feeling into it. Painting is also all about feeling, you know. You put all your feeling to it, and you get a beautiful painting. There. So now you see that they're coming down, and they're either going or coming, whatever they're doing. But anyway, they're there, and they're cute. So that's what counts. They're cute. They look nice. Now we take the water. I'm going to take a little bit of crimson. This is alizarin crimson right here, just like a little drop. Sometimes you get this color in the sky, and it's sort of really pretty. So I'm not going to put a lot of it because you don't need a lot of it. You just need a little bit of it, and you just kind of maybe even in the water you could stroke a little bit like that, and then maybe through the sky too, like that. You could throw a little bit. You know, whatever's in the sky reflects in the water. So if you have a little alizarin crimson in these clouds and everything, you know, they would bounce off on the water. So you have to add that too. So that makes it look like moving and kind of pretty. So you do that too. Yeah, there. So now look at the painting. Now the painting is coming to life. Now you could take a little bit of my white, because I want to kind of make this little bit intense here, these little waves. And then you could just put a few little waves there, just to make the water look like there's some sort of a motion going on. And it's all about value. Remember when I mentioned value? The values don't stay the same. And the values, they kind of, sort of, you know, they're a family of values. If you have one value, it kind of like shadowy, but it has to go into the other value. You can't, to make it look connected. So this is just a little bit, I want to make just like the water is moving here, so you can, and you have a little reflection of the sky here, and like that. And if you overlook at the picture, and if you stop for a second and look at it, you'll see that it's coming to life, and it's a little bit more intense that it was before. Now you're beginning to see the horizon right here. It should be lit up because somehow there's light here. Right in here there's light. So let's kind of like lighten that up. There you go. Yeah, you have to lighten this right in here. There you go. Put a little white like that. Just like that. There you go. So that looks better. And now this water, it could be just a little bit, splashing a little bit. So what I'm going to do is take that little fan brush that I had, and I'm going to take a little bit of that white I had over here. Yeah, here it is. I'm going to just press this out a little bit. Yeah, and I'm going to take out my little fan brush here and just kind of, this is now what I'm targeting is those rocks and this little foam. This has to, see? That's just like that. There, because that's, so now it looks like it's kind of like hitting those rocks. And the birds look like they're flying. You want to make it come alive. See, now it's like, has a little bit more of an impact. Yeah. And then you can put a little bit strokes of water, make it look like water in between all this dark. So it looks like, make it look like it's moving. You have to make the water look like it's moving. And the more it looks like that, the more realistic the painting becomes. That's why sometimes you don't stop right away. You have to know when to finish it, but you don't stop right away because you want to kind of make it complete. And you don't, there's an impressionistic, which is just tapping it, but if you want to like a little bit photorealistic, kind of my type of painting is photorealistic. I like to take something and make the children look like them, or the dog, or the cat, or the little pooch. It's more like photorealistic. Because paintings are heirlooms. You have them through centuries, and you pass them down. And this particular oil paint that I work with, I work with a lot of Old Holland paint. So Old Holland paint it's a very good paint, and it's lasting. And like I said, they're heirlooms. They could be passed down to histories. Your children, your grandchildren, your great grandchildren. It's just beautiful. And years ago, the old masters didn't have cameras, so they had to really paint and keep a painting because they didn't have. Today we have cameras and everything. People take pictures, but it's not like painting. To have a painting is certainly more lasting than to have a photograph. Now what I'm going to take here is I'm going to put a little bit of this white here, these waves. Let's just see. And in some spots, you can go intense. Not all of it, because some little spots here, and you lay the paint down. Like look over there, you look and you kind of go like that. You lay it down, and then you come back here and you kind of there to wave, and then you over here. It's how waves are. They're like there, and this goes like that, and this crashed into that, and you kind of sometimes just kind of like lay the paint. Sometimes you don't even, like when I did the birds, you just kind of touch it. Now right here, as I'm looking at these little seagulls, I want to just make their wings a little bit more intense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of this titanium white, and I'm going to go back. You see, now I'm reinstating again, like I said before. It's always reinstating. I'm going to put my maul stick so it won't slip out on me, and I'm going to tap these wings. And I'm laying the paint down, watch. That's it. And then I'm just going back and I just laid the paint down. I just tap it. I'm not even drawing. I'm just tapping it. Because sometimes if you do too much, it gets a little messy. But if you just lay the paint, like just go like this and lay down the brush, that's it. That one didn't take this. See, so they could be a little bit, what I want them to make them a little bit more visible. I want them to come out. So there. So now at least you could see them. They look like they're flying. They're having a good time for themselves. They're having fun. So now, again, we go to these little clouds. And now we're just going to punch them out, too. See, it's all about, see how I just keep coming back to things. It's really easy. Painting is not difficult, It's really reinstate. First do it, get it down right, and then keep on reinstating it. And the more you're reinstating it, guess what? The more lifelike it becomes. That's all. So it's not, and it's fun. And it's fun. You get your palette, and I'm not working with a lot of paint here. I only have just a few shades. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Just got 8 shades. I don't have a lot of shades here, So the painting, it's not a big palette. And then I have these little cups that have these little caps on with a little oil and little mineral spirits just to clean up the brushes. Here I'm going to put some clouds. And right there. And right over here. Let's see. There. And it looks really nice. Then right sometimes on top of the mountain there's like a little bit of light. So let's kind of do that. I've seen a lot of mountains where the reflection of the sky gives them a little bit of a, between water, it reflects it. Yeah. just the top. The back of, and they're distant, so they're far. The lighter the lighter they are, the more distant and further they become. So you just put them in a little bit. See this, up, down, like that. And sometimes they have like a grayish, sometimes they have like a grayish cast to them. I'll put this color in. This color looks, oh yeah, see this. Let me just bring them out just a little bit more so they could be visible. Like that, like this. There. And then sometimes I have this Viva towel. Viva towels only because they're like a little bit of a cloth. So you can also wipe down. But it has to be Viva. It can't be any other towel because this towel is, the other towel leaves a sort of like a lint. So, and this is oil paint, so this will stick. So this is not good. That's why you have to use Viva. So I hope you attempt what I'm showing you. Grab a little picture of something you like, or maybe a vacation you went to or something, and sketch it out. Get the little canvas and draw it out and tackle it, and you'll see how much fun you'll have. And just follow like what I did from the beginning. I first started with the horizon in the back just to get it, and then so the mountains are back there somewhere, you know. A little water here. There you go. So you could see, you know, you want things to pop out a little bit, you know. You want them to show. This color, oops, yeah. Yeah, these towels are great. They're easy to clean your hands. And now this little color, this is like a little greenish gray, but I'm going to just put this on top here and just stroke this in. So I hope you're enjoying this lesson, and I hope you'll see more lessons that I give you, and I hope you continue painting because it's fun for me, and it certainly could be fun for you. And I love teaching, and I love painting. And I hope to see you again. And I hope you're enjoying this show if you can do it too. And the jingle says, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it too. And when you tackle something, you always say to yourself, if she could do it, I could do it too. Because that's what I always say. I went to the museums, look at those old masters. I says, if they could do it, I could do it too. You're no different. I'm no different than you. You're no different than me. We could all do it. And it's nice to tackle on something you love to do. So why not tackle in your art? If it's a passion and if you love to do it. Oh. Now look how pretty this little picture comes out. So keep me in mind. Like I said, Lydia Forte-Santiago, if you want any tips, if you want any advice, any help, any question, any suggestion, anything you might want to see on the show that perhaps I could do, I would love to do it. Contact me, artistvia@verizon.net too. You could email me. I'd love to answer you. And here it is. So I hope you enjoy the show. And keep on painting. Follow the principle and keep on painting. So I could do it, you could do it too.
You can do it too. Easy as 1, 2, 3. You can do it too. Come along and draw with me. Pads and pencils, a very good start. So when you draw with your heart. You draw with your heart, 'cause you can do it too.